Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was born around 1820 in the state of Maryland. Her exact birth date is not known because she was born a slave, and slave owners did not keep records of their slave births. Harriet had 10 siblings. She and her family lived in a one-room cabin on a plantation. She started working when she was just 6 years old. As a slave, she had to work very hard and was not paid. Sometimes she was beaten or whipped for doing something wrong. When she was 12 years old, a slave owner threw a heavy weight at her head. The injury caused her to have terrible headaches for the rest of her life. In 1844, Harriet married John Tubman. Although he was a free man, Harriet still remained a slave. Harriet longed to be free and decided to escape to the north where slavery was illegal or against the law. John would not go with her. In 1849, she ran away alone to Pennsylvania, a free state. To get to Pennsylvania safely, Harriet had to follow the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad was not really a railroad, but a system of secret hideouts in houses with people working together to help slaves get to the north. After arriving at a secret house, the owner would tell the slave where to go next. The slave would usually travel by night. Sometimes people would even disguise them or hide them in their wagons. In Pennsylvania, Harriet worked as a cook. She was finally paid for her work, and with that money, she led hundreds of slaves to freedom through the Underground Railroad. She even brought her parents and some of her siblings to Canada. In 1850, Canada became safer than the Free States. That is because a new law called the Fugitive Slave Act stated that escaped slaves living in the North could be returned to their owners in the South. While Harriet was risking her own freedom by traveling back and forth bringing slaves to the North, there were many people looking for her. Slave owners were willing to pay a lot of money for her to be caught. Luckily, they could never catch her. In 1861, the Civil War began. Harriet worked as a nurse and a spy for the North. She continued to help many slaves escape to freedom. Finally, in 1865, the Civil War ended and slavery became illegal in all states. After the war, Harriet continued to help others. She always gave to the poor, the hungry, and the sick. She helped buy and open a home in New York for the needy and the elderly. She married Nelson Davis in 1869. Her first husband had died long ago. Harriet Tubman is an American hero. She is admired and loved by many for her bravery and dedication to freedom. On March 10, 1913, Harriet Tubman died in Auburn, New York. If you need to, go ahead and reread the passage. If you're ready, go ahead and move on to the questions.